The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our presentation of the Link 340 today. We're going to give it another just moment for others to join. Stick with us here. All right, let's get started. Thank you, everybody, for joining the presentation that I've got today. It'll be a pretty brief presentation, but nonetheless, a presentation on our new Link 340, our asset tracking hardware and software solution. A nice complementary piece to our vehicle tracking solution. So it's certainly a hardware and software feature set that customers have been asking about for quite a long time. So I'm excited to be able to announce this, be able to present the solution in the marketplace. So my name is Matt Gunzenhauser. I'm the sales director for Webfleet Solutions in the US. Like I said, we're going to have about a 20-minute presentation or so right here, going into some of the details of the hardware and the software. Go over a couple things. And as I mentioned, this is a product that we're excited to launch to the US market simply because it's a product that a lot of customers have asked about in the past, things that we've considered bringing to the marketplace. And as of about a month ago, it's here and it's available as well. A couple agenda items to go through briefly here as we get started. First off, I'm going to talk a little bit about assets. So when we consider assets and tracking assets, well, what kind of assets are we talking about? So we're going to go through details on a high level of that. I want to share a little bit of information, of course, on the Link 340, the hardware, some of the specifications and capabilities and things. Features. So what does the Link 340 do? What the software? What are the capabilities of it? What features does it bring to customers? And then, of course, the value, the benefits, return on investment, things like that. So, in combination with vehicle tracking, what does the Link 340 and the asset tracker provide? Engine or something similar to that. A few different categories here, a few different examples. Really, when you talk about trailers, primarily you're looking at any type of commercial semi-trailer, drawbar trailer. Of course, they've got maybe their own engine or certainly access to a power source through pigtails or otherwise. Machinery. Machinery is an important piece. Some customers on the call today right now, depending on the industry that they're in, may have yellow iron. This stuff's important too. It's pretty expensive. Things that you want to keep track of. Of course, they have engines, power sources. Also included here is plant equipment. Things such as power generators, mobile air compressors, could be other things as well. Matter of fact, you look at this spread of types of assets, it's just a small sample of assets available, but nonetheless, these powered assets, these 12, 24-volt power supply assets are really what we're talking about here. We'll get into some of the details as capabilities, requirements, and extended features as well. Here it is, the new Link 340. So monitor and stay in control of your powered assets. This is kind of an extended view of maybe a large view, I guess, of this device. But again, it launched probably about a month ago. We're just starting to get these devices into the marketplace. And again, it's a nice complementary device to our primary vehicle tracking solution, vehicle tracking software. About the Link 340, I'm going to get into a couple specifications here. The specs in some ways may not mean a whole lot, particularly when you talk about dimensions. It is a device that attaches, on the outside of an asset. So dimensions may not mean a whole lot. They're listed there. You can kind of see the dimensions. To put it into perspective, it's probably about the size of 2 iPhones stacked on top of one another, something like that. Supply voltage, as I mentioned, it is compatible with 12-volt, 24-volt systems. Protection class, an important spec here, I suppose. It is IP67 rated. That dust, shock, vibration, waterproof. So it is a quite durable device for the different environments this device will be installed in. Rechargeable battery. So I've spoken already a number of times about having the power source available and such, but the Link 340 does have a rechargeable battery. At full charge, it will last up to 90 days, and is an important piece for a number of reasons. Primarily, if you think about it, you've got a trailer. Oftentimes, it's attached to a truck. Sometimes it's not, right? It's left in a yard. Still want to have a power source to this device. Alternatively, you may have a piece of equipment, some yellow iron. It's on site. May not be used every day, but again, connection to the device, device visibility in the network. I'm going to speak about that in a moment. Lastly, at least on this sheet, the digital input. It does have 4 input wires. Really what that could be used for is to connect to some things that may be a part of the asset, a door of a trailer, engine hours of a piece of machinery, lights or other signals that the input wires can connect to. So again, just a little look at the specs on the Link 340. Supported functionality in Webfleet. So I've got a few items I want to touch on here. One thing you'll notice throughout is, of course, the visuals, right? The user interface. It's built right into the Webfleet platform that many of you are probably familiar with today from having vehicles tracked. As it relates to asset tracking, I have 4 items in particular that I want to touch on. The first being the asset module in the main menu. You look here at the main menu, you happen to notice the 3rd one down that's highlighted. This is the icon of the asset. So the asset icon is now part of the main menu. In case it's selected, you can see I now have assets appearing on the screen or in relation to the alternative being vehicles. Okay. You also notice I do have number 2, the compact list, where I've got a specific tab for vehicles and one for assets. In this particular screenshot, I do have assets highlighted. So assets are visual on the screen. Okay. And 3rd, asset types. So there are different types of assets that companies have, particularly trailers, machinery, and equipment. Having these different identifiers is a way to, break them out into different categories for different visuals on the map, or maybe different projects, something like that may be run. But of course, being able to differentiate one from the other. Last but not least, of course, number 4, the asset's current position on the map. Well, it is tracking. It is Webfleet. The screen, again, probably looks pretty familiar. But here we have a visual of all of the assets on the map. And again, if you go to the right, maybe to the top right here, one of the tiles, it shows you a little bit of information about a particular tile, its position, and the attributes. Things that should be pretty familiar looking, at least for those that currently have Webfleet for your vehicle tracking. So we're going to get into an overview now. A number of different items here I want to touch on briefly. Some of them in part we've already grazed a little bit, but nonetheless, the first is track and monitor. Viewing current positions, mileage, movement statuses, get an understanding of how the assets are being utilized. Look here at the map. We showed an abridged version view just a moment ago. But again, I've got my map icon. I've selected Asset tab. In this case, I've got 3 assets listed. I've got the details, and of course, I have the assets visual on the map. Very similar to how the vehicles would be if I was to select the vehicle tab. Engine hours. Kind of a newer feature here, I suppose, but getting an understanding how that machinery is being utilized, right? Monitoring the engine hours. This is where maintenance comes into play as well. Again, we look at the screen. There are capabilities for having an engine hours report available. Talking about maintenance, you can also schedule maintenance tasks based on engine hours. In this case, when we pull up the details of a particular asset, this asset is recording, or has recorded 3,399 hours of usage. We can kind of see the details here in the tile to the right. Tracing, visibility and where the assets have been with updates on the map. This is your breadcrumb trail, right? So the Link 340 hardware and the asset tracking software, what we're doing here is we're providing position updates on the map every 5 minutes. Now, does not necessarily mean how often the device is talking to the satellites. It's actually talking to the satellites every 1 second. It's talking to the satellites every 1 second for a number of reasons. One in particular being able to accurately account for miles traveled, right? So it's taking frequent pings. Another thing could be, for instance, entering or departing a geofence, right? So you have to do those things more frequently, every 1 second. But in this case, in the trace view, which you see on the screen, we pulled a date here from just a few weeks ago, I suppose. But here's a breadcrumb trail of where an asset was on a particular day, in this case in September. So you're able to see where it's at, but also particular locations where it was parked at. If this was live, I could hover across the park and see how long it was parked for, things like that. Instant alerts. There are alerts available, so getting notified when an asset status changes. I mentioned a moment ago, but when it enters or leaves a defined area, geofence, or when movement is detected, right? Pretty important things here, because you talk about something entering or leaving a defined area. You may want to know if it enters or leaves a particular location that you have defined. Movement's detected, right? So an asset, you may not anticipate an asset being moved for a particular reason. So again, notification on movement. When you look here in Webfleet, again, these are static screens, but I got 4 things highlighted here, really. The first is a green circle. Notice here in this green circle, it's highlighting the notification icon in 7. This particular asset has 7 notifications assigned to it. Again, could be movement, could be arrival, departure from a geofence. I'll go over here to the right a little bit. I've got a red circle. These are notifications simply on the Webfleet account. There's more than 99, so it's not just this one asset, but maybe other assets or other vehicles. Scroll over to the right a little bit, and you can see here, this is a tile with a particular asset shown, okay? And I've got the ability to toggle whether I want it activated for motion notification, whether I want this on or off. So an asset begins movement, motion, sends out notification. Similarly, I've already talked about the input wires. In this case, there's 3 inputs. One is for door status, whether doors open or close. The other one could be front lights, lights on or off, or rear lights on or off. Just a couple examples of how not only notifications can be created, but use cases for the input wires. Maintenance notification. This goes along a little bit with engine hours, but scheduling assets maintenance based on odometer, engine hours, and time. Okay, so assets are similar to vehicles, right? You want to make sure they're in top condition, that they're not taken off the road often, that they're available to be utilized, etc. Again, just like vehicles, you want to maintain the assets. On here, the screen, you look to the right, top right, I suppose, and here's a look of where maintenance tasks could be seen. For instance, there may be overdue maintenance tasks or some tasks due soon. Again, different maintenance items depending on the asset, they're going to vary. It could be tires, it could be brake systems, engines, tune-ups. Again, when we talk about trailers, Are we talking about plant equipment? Are we talking about machinery? Certainly could vary. Asset utilization report. From Webfleet and tracking vehicles, well familiar with reports. Well, we have reports specific to assets, right? Current positions, trips, maintenance, location, input reports, etc. Pulled here a screenshot of Webfleet reporting system, in the management section, and I typed in assets, because there are reports specific to assets. So I filtered it down a little bit. Very similar to what you're used to within Webfleet, but reports that can be downloaded in Webfleet for assets, scheduled for delivery via email, etc. Daily asset heartbeat check. An interesting piece here, actually a pretty important piece here, I think, for assets as well. As I mentioned, the Link 340 does have an internal battery, keeps it charged for 90 days when it's fully charged. But if that asset is not in use, meaning maybe it's not being utilized, being turned on, or it's not connected to power or something like that, right? The Link 340 will still give a daily update of its location. This is important because you think about it, companies may have lots of trailers. You drop trailers off in yards, you put them at depots, put them in other places. Over time, you got lots of trailers in a lot of places. They're disconnected from power. You still have visibility, at least every day, as to where that trailer is via the heartbeat check. Think about assets as well. Same thing. They may be in a construction site or some sort of other location, right? May not be in use for a few days, but you still have visibility as to where that asset is located. Last but not least, on the screen, what I want to show is coupling. Kind of a unique piece here in some ways, I think, but very important. So coupling, think of assets and think of vehicles. So there may be vehicles that you have that are equipped with Webfleet Link hardware, and then of course assets as well. But in many times, you may want them coupled together. Think about it like this. You've got a truck on the road that's got Webfleet Link hardware in it. That truck has a trailer, right? Those two, through the algorithms and through GPS technology and other capabilities as well, we can tell through the algorithms that the truck and the trailer are moving together based on these updates. Therefore, we want to couple them, show that a truck and a trailer is together. Let's take a step further. It may be a truck with a trailer connected to it, but there may be multiple assets. That trailer may have, some machinery on it as well. So you've got a truck with a trailer and maybe a few assets traveling together. This happens automatically, again, based on telematics and different algorithms and things. But nonetheless, as easy as they are coupled together, they may be decoupled. Drop a trailer off at a site, leave an asset at a location. Once the truck starts moving and the assets that it's coupled with aren't following it, it decouples, showing that they're not together anymore. So looking at this in Webfleet, it's kind of cool to see. Here I've got a screen where I've got the assets tab highlighted. I've got a number of assets here, but you can see a handful or so have the asset icon alongside it. What this is showing is these assets are connected to a vehicle. Similarly, if I'm on the vehicles tab, I can see vehicles here, and this shows that they have assets associated with them. Again, this is a screenshot, not live, so hovering over things don't show me any more information, but it's showing the coupling. Further, if you look here at the map, right in the center, here's the vehicle label, vehicle name, and in it with the yellow background, I've got the asset icon. That is also telling me that this vehicle has an asset coupled with it. So I did a high-level overview, spent a little bit of time of Link 340, asset tracking, Webfleet, capabilities and such. There's a few things in conclusion I want to start to wrap up on. Number one is giving the ability to stay in control at all times. Of course, notifying you when an asset is moved, maybe deterring unauthorized usage, reacting quickly to theft. Okay? Second piece, reducing workload with automated asset management. Positions, automated reporting, visibility in how the assets are being utilized. Something that's important, tracking your assets alongside your fleet and web one interface, right? Having a screen with both the assets and the vehicles, being able to compare, contrast, report, etc. Something else that's interesting, maybe improving accuracy and efficiency for rental billing or bookkeeping. Some customers on this call, some customers in the field may have machinery or equipment or something like that that they use as rental, right, for their own operation. They rent out hardware. So seeing where this equipment rental is, when it's being utilized, maybe engine hours for billing or bookkeeping, things like that. Last but not least, certainly important, but saving costs to maintain the asset's value. So the maintenance schedule, making sure that asset is in top condition, is available to be utilized on the road, and is not a burden in the expense category with having maintenance that needs to be done more than usual. Something that I'm excited to share to the market here, we have a product launch offer in the marketplace. We are right now offering 3 months of free service to customers that sign up at any point between now and December 30th. This is for customers that are in the United States. But this is something clearly I'm excited to launch, kind of an initial launch offer, I guess, for the marketplace, and something for additional details you can get with your authorized Webfleet Solutions contact and reselling partner. Okay, so an exciting out here going on for another 6 weeks or so. So I want to wrap it up right now. I think I kept it right about 20 minutes where I was anticipating. I'm not sure what questions if there are or things, but like I said, I did want to share with you a little bit about the Link 340 asset tracking, the complementary hardware and software to our vehicle telematics and our vehicle tracking. Anybody on the line here, if you do have further questions, please feel free again to reach out to your authorized Webfleet Solutions contact or reselling partner. Again, I don't know if there's any questions. I'm going to take a look at this afterwards. I don't know who the questions come from, if there are any, but certainly feel free to reach out to us, and hopefully we can get a number of customers on board at kind of this initial launch phase of the solution. Again, thank you for joining the webinar. Wish everybody the best. Look forward to connecting with everybody soon as well. Thank you.